Hi there, Victor here. If you want to learn how to do a simple grid system, something like this, and you can delete everything with right click, then stick around and I'll show you how. So here in Godot, let's create a scene. We'll call it game. And first things first, let's make our input system. We will use a Node2D for this because we need to get the global mouse position. Call it input system. Let's attach a script to it and put it inside the folder to keep things organized. Scripts. Perfect. Delete all this crap. Inside the input function, we will check if we press the left click or the right click. So if event dot is action pressed, let's set up the action real quick inside the project settings. So inside input map, let's create some inputs. Left click and right click. Perfect. Now we should see it inside this drop down. If event is action pressed, right click. And if we press the left click mouse button, we want to create a building. Else we want to destroy it. Destroy. Perfect. Let's pass this for now because we don't want to see an error every time. Now let's get the mouse position first. So inside a new variable called mouse pos. What's the problem here? Expecting that we have to pass this too. We get a mouse position of type vector2, and in Godot we have a very useful function for this called get global mouse position. So if we print this out, print debug the mouse position to see if it's working. Select current. Okay, perfect. If we're looking down here under the output, you'll see the mouse position every time I press. Perfect. Now we want to snap it to a grid, so we're gonna make a new function called snap to grid, which will get a mouse position, which is vector2, and we will return another vector2. To get the snapped position, we will use a little bit of math. We will get the mouse position and we will divide it by a variable we're gonna make just now called cell size. This will determine how big our grid is. It's of type int, and we will initialize it with something like 64. I think it's fine. And let's make it so that we can change it in the inspector. We will add export in front of it. We will divide it by the cell size. We want to floor this value. That means rounding it up. And we will multiply it by the cell size. Perfect. We have a little bit of error here. The local function parameter is shadowing. So yeah, let's put an underscore in front of mouse position so that we don't get an error no more. That's perfect. And now the mouse position, we don't just get the mouse position, the global mouse position, we will snap it to a grid. And if we run this out, if we run this now, you'll see that we have multiples of 64. Perfect. Now to build the actual building, we need a building, so let's create a new 2D scene. Let's call it building. And for now, let's put the Godot mascot to be our placeholder. Reset the transform. And we want the anchor point to be on the top left corner. So under offset, uncheck the centered button. Now it should work perfectly. Create a new folder, buildings. And let's save it to something like building_1 because I want to add more in the future. Let's create another node. And we could use a node, but I would like the color of the node 2D better. So yeah, I'm feeling rebellious now. Let's put it in to be a child of the game object. Let's call it build system. Add a script. Inside scripts, open, create. Delete everything. We want to instance the building, so we get a reference to it inside the onReady function. Build, it's a resource, so we will preload it, the build instance. Perfect. Now it's not enough to just instance it. To instance it, we can't use the resource, we have to transform it into a node. So to do that, we are going to make a new function called spawn building. We will get a mouse position as usual to know where to spawn it, which is a vector2, and we will return nothing, so this function is a void. Perfect. So to instance the building, we need another variable called build instance, which is a node2D, and it's the building that we just created dot instantiate. Now let's set the build instance position to be the mouse position, and it will be very nice if we could change the name of it, of the build instance, to be something more readable, like I don't know, building underscore, and let's add a mouse position to it, which is a vector2, so we need to transform it into a string, like so. Perfect. And let's add it to the scene tree. To do that, we're gonna type build instance dot add child. No, sorry, add child, and the build instance is the parameter. That should do it, I think. Inside the input system, let's see if it's working. So let's get a reference to the build system. It's a vector, it's a node2D, and we get a path to it, like so. And here build system dot spawn building. We'll pass the mouse position. Variable, we have to put it inside the onReady function. Right, now it should work. Non-existent spawn building. How did we call it? Spawn build, I'm sorry. So spawn build should do it. It doesn't seem to work. Why is that? Well, because our cell size is initialized with 64, but if we were looking at our building icon, we'll see that this texture is 128 by 128, which is exactly 2 times the size of our cell. So we either change the size of our cell, or we change the size of our image. For now, let's change the size of our cell. Inside input system, let's change it to 128. And now it's working like a charm. Well, almost, because if we look under the remote tab, you will see that if I press multiple times on the same spot, we can add multiple buildings. We don't want that. So we need to have a way to check if that position is used or not. So let's make an array of positions called usePosition, which is an array, and we will make it empty for now. And every time we build a building, we want to append the mouse position to the used positions array. Mouse position, perfect. And we will now only build the building if that position is empty. We don't have a building on it. So let's make another function for it called checkEmpty. We will get a mouse position as well. Actually, no, we don't need the mouse position for this, because mouse position is global. So actually, we don't need the mouse position for this either. We'll just reference the mouse position. It's a global variable. If we check empty, so we will return either true or false, so it's a boolean. And we will go through every position inside the used position array, and we will check if position is equal to the mouse position. If so, we will return false, so that that position isn't empty. If we don't get this equality, we will return true. Perfect. Now we check if checkEmpty, we want to build. Let's delete this comment, and let's delete the pass. Too many arguments for snap to grid. Yeah, we need to actually snap to grid. Yeah, I don't know. Let's put the mouse position not be global. Let's put it inside here. Here, that's fine. And now we will pass the mouse position again, which is a vector2. That should work better. And let's pass it here too. Vector2. We could have done it a lot easier, but it doesn't matter now. Let's keep the minimum of global variables. Alright, and now let's check if it's working. If we're looking under remote here, we can place them, but we can't place multiple ones in the same location. Actually, to see it better, let's print something. Let's print can't place here. Place building here. Buildings here. Perfect. Actually, you don't want to print the mouse position anymore. Now, if we right click, we want to destroy the building. So inside the build system, let's make another function called delete build. We will get the mouse position, which is a vector2. Vector2. As usual, it's a void. So let's make another variable called build to delete, which how do we do it? we'll get a node. We'll get a node, and we now use the fact that we changed the name of our buildings to building underscore mouse position, and we will get the node building underscore plus string mouse position. And now we want to delete it. The function in Godot for this is to queue_free, and inside the input system, if we now call use position, we call build system dot delete build. That's how we call it, yeah. And we pass our mouse position, which now it's a local variable, so we want to copy it and paste it here again. No, let's put it inside the input function better. Here at the top, and we want to snap it to get the position again by copying and pasting this. Now everything should be fine, and we want to remove the position from the use position array. So to do that, we will first check if mouse position is inside the array. So if used positions dot has the mouse position, we want to remove the mouse position from the array. So used position dot what was the erase, I think it was the function. Let's see. Erase removes the first occurrence of a value. That's perfect. Erase, and we will pass the value the mouse position. Perfect. Now everything should be fine. Now we have another error. Attempt to call function queue_free in base null instance. So inside the build system, we first need to check if we have something to delete. So build, let's see, if is instance valid. We will check if is instance valid, and we will pass the build to delete instance. Only then, and only then, we will delete it. So let's see. We again get errors. Why is that? Node not found inside the build system. What's happening? We want to delete it if the use position array has the mouse position. So we will put everything inside this if. Now we shouldn't get any errors. That's perfect. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. If we got this far, please leave a like and subscribe. And without further ado, I'll see you next episode.